called to order. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mitch Buchanan,
Here.
Margaret Townsley, Brandon White,
Here.
Johnny King,
Here.
Barry Holder Jr.,
Here.
Ashley Kennedy.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you. The board members have each received a copy of the BZA meeting minutes from March 9. I'm assuming is that supposed to be 2021?
Yes.
Okay. 2021. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, Secretary, if you will call our first item of business, please.
In accordance with Article 14, Section 14.04 of the Franklin County Zoning Ordinance, Dawn McCormick is requesting a conditional use permit for a major home occupation to allow for the online sales of firearms located at 211 Duntruth, Frankfort, Kentucky 40601. The property is more specifically identified as property valuation number 085-40-06-050.02.
Thank you. Would staff please present the item?
All right, good evening. So yeah, I've analyzed this request. The subject property is in the PR planned residential zoning district. The request is to operate online firearms sales based out of the residence. This board has heard a similar case back in 2019. The primary difference between this one and that one is the previous one that was approved required a little bit of on-site assembly of parts, no manufacturing of parts, but there was some assembly required. This instance requires no assembly, so in my view, it's actually slightly less intense than the previously approved version. We're not here to talk about that one, we're here to talk about this one. So it's in the Two Creeks area. It's in a condo unit, so the adjacent properties are directly abutting it, shared walls. My staff report has all positive findings, and I did also suggest or recommend 7 conditions of approval. One being that a business license is required. The conditional use permit is granted only to 211 Duntruth. The conditional use permit is only granted to Don McCormick to allow the use of the property for firearm sales. The conditional use shall not be transferable, and any change in ownership will make this use null and void. The business will operate in compliance with all regulations that apply from any other regulatory agency that may apply. The business shall have no non-residential employees, and that the home occupation shall operate in compliance with all the requirements listed in Article 15.07. And I'm recommending that the item be approved. With that, I'd like to enter my report into the record, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have for me.
Okay. Do any of the board members have questions for Mr. Judah?
Sure, I asked one quick one. Did Mr. McCormick agree to all the conditions stated in the report then?
Yes, he has.
I noticed that in the staff report there was a letter that was submitted by Jana Stern, and just really it seemed like she was concerned about some things with maybe some questions and so forth. That to your knowledge, did she get to her satisfaction, all those questions answered?
So I think she was mostly confused about, I think Mr. McCormick may have approached the Property Owners Association requesting a letter saying that they were fine with the request. And so she reached out to me wondering why I was asking it. And I was just saying it's not required, but if you want to provide something for the record, please do so. And that was the extent of that. She didn't provide any letter in support or against.
Very good.
Anything from any neighbors?
I did receive a phone call with somebody inquiring about it, and they requested the staff report, and I emailed it to them.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is the applicant or a representative here? Would you like to speak on the matter?
I'm urging,
Just take this off.
just to agree
Sure.
with
A
the
little
staff
slow right
recommendations. Okay.
It's, I look at it kind of like a mountain and a molehill, but I don't have a so per se business. I have an internet sales of buying and selling firearms, and I'm not a regular firearms dealer. I deal only in antiques and collectibles, and I have customers all over the country. No one comes to my home, and unless you all advertise it, they won't even know I'm there. It's really I've had a license for like 30 years, at the same place for 40 years, as a matter of fact. And I don't know of any reason that you shouldn't, but anyway, I'll answer any questions if I can, if you have any questions. I don't, yeah.
Specifically, do you agree to the 7 conditions that
Sure.
staff put on the report?
Oh, yes,
Thank you.
yes.
All right, any questions? All right, you can sit down. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Alrighty. All right, now that we've heard all of the information regarding this item, board, is there any discussion? No, pretty straightforward. Okay. If there is no discussion, would someone please make a motion regarding this item?
Okay, I'll make a motion. I'll move that Mr. Don McCormick at 211 Duntree be approved for a major home occupation and a conditional use permit for online firearm sales at his residence based upon the findings of fact, all positive findings of facts in the report, and also from the 7 recommendations that were previously read by Mr. Judah into the record.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Oh, Mr. White.
Thank you. Secretary, please take the vote.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Alrighty, thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you gonna put this in the paper? And the reason I ask is, I don't advertise. Unless it's like advertising.
There was an ad put in the paper to advertise this meeting date, that was it.
Oh,
And then it'll be on cable 10.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
You may be good at that.
I don't want people coming in my house. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, do we want to move forward with the?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
We can. I'll try to do my best to answer any questions that you might have, so.
okay. Secretary, will you please call the next item of business, please?
In accordance with Article 1.08 of the Franklin County zoning ordinance, Showtime Sign and Design Incorporated for Commonwealth Credit Union is requesting a waiver of Article 11.20 to allow for a sign to be permitted on a building face that adjoins a residential zone. The property address is 1425 Louisville Road, and is more specifically identified as PVA map number 050-00-00-018.00.
Thank you.
All right, so this subject property is located off of Louisville Road. To the north is the Capital City Airport, National Guard. It's surrounded to the south and to the east by residential uses and zones, and it's got a vacant lot directly west. I believe the owner of the property to the west is the credit union. So the request comes that the zoning ordinance does not explicitly allow signs to be placed on facades that face residential zones, and that is exactly what they want. They want a sign on a facade that faces residential zones. They already do have, the building has an existing sign that faces a residential zone. However, this new one that they are proposing to have is further than the existing one. The closest house in the direction the sign faces is approximately 800 feet away, so it's quite some distance. The closest house in any direction is a house to the east, which is approximately 460 feet away. At the time that I wrote the staff report, and even today, I still have not heard from any neighbors with any concerns about the sign, and as such, I'm recommending it be approved.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr.
Yeah.
Judah?
I just want to point out, just a small typo that may be significant.
Okay.
In your recommendation, you have for a waiver to Article 11.20, and it really, I think, should be 11.21A, right?
It should be 11.21A. You're correct. Yes,
Okay.
11.21A. Thank you for catching that.
Any other questions?
Mr. Judah, did you find any issues with regard to health, safety, or welfare with this request?
No issues.
And is it correct that the maximum signage that could be placed on this premises is 608 square feet?
Yes, so the zoning ordinance has 3 calculations, and you take the lesser of the 3, and based upon that calculation, the maximum allowable is 608 feet.
And how many square feet would this be combined?
With the existing plus this proposed sign, it would amount to 135.11 square feet of signage, so they're well within what's allowed.
So they're actually 5 times less.
Correct.
All right. And in addition to that, did you find that the distances from any housing is an unusual circumstance, and that they're at least 800 feet from one and over 400 for the other? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you find that that was a sufficiently unique condition to support your recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, you can have a seat.
Thank you.
Were we expecting the applicant?
I hadn't heard from them, but I mean, I can, if they don't show up, I can reach out to them tomorrow and let them know what action you all take.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I think in the past, we've had applicants not show up, and if we had positive findings and no comments or negative comments from the community, we've gone ahead and made a ruling. So
Okay.
I would think it would be appropriate this evening,
Okay.
just for information.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
I'll be happy to.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the request for waiver from the applicant, Showtime Sign and Design Incorporated, representing Commonwealth Credit Union. So recommending the request for a waiver to Article 11.21A to allow a fascia sign to be installed in the face of a building which adjoins residentially used or zoned land.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Secretary, please take a vote.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Is there any more items of business that we need to attend to?
I don't have anything else unless you all want to discuss future meetings and whether or not you want to go back to virtual or in person.
Okay. Well, we can go off the record first and we'll have that discussion. But there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 5:44. All right.
Excellent.
Well, do you guys have any?